Far away in the deep black of space, a large group of alien worlds lived in peace. These worlds made a coalition. They worked together to keep their space safe and quiet. The leaders of the coalition were proud of their peaceful lives. They trusted that nothing would ever change. One day, something new appeared on their scanners. A strange ship entered their space. It was unlike any ship they had ever seen before. The ship was strong and heavy. Its design was rough but powerful. The coalition's leaders watched carefully. No one could guess who came or what they wanted. The ship was from a planet the aliens called the Deathworld. It was a name spoken with fear. The Deathworld was a harsh place where only the strongest survived. Many creatures there were dangerous. The weather was wild and cruel. The humans who came from the Deathworld were known as Deathworlders. They had learned to live through pain and struggle. The aliens believed these humans were very tough and hard to deal with. The leaders of the coalition felt a cold fear. They stood frozen, not knowing what to do. The Deathworlders' ship moved slowly toward the heart of their space. It was a silent warning. The coalition's people whispered stories of war and destruction, but none of them could move forward. They waited and watched. Inside the Deathworlders' ship, the humans moved with quiet purpose. Their faces were serious but calm. They did not show fear or anger. They were used to danger. Their leader, a man named Captain Marcus, looked at the stars ahead. He knew this meeting would change everything. Captain Marcus had grown up on the Deathworld. He knew how to face storms, wild animals, and enemies. He knew how to protect his people. Now, he was on a new mission. He wanted to find friends, not enemies. But he was ready for anything. The coalition sent a message to the Deathworlders. They asked why the humans came. The humans answered with honesty. They said they looked for a new home, a place to live in peace. They wanted to learn and share. But they also warned they would not run away from danger. The coalition's leaders were surprised. They had expected anger and war. Instead, they heard words of hope and courage. Still, they did not trust the Deathworlders. They had seen too much pain caused by strong fighters. They kept their forces ready. Days passed slowly. The Deathworlders waited quietly near the coalition's border. The aliens sent scouts to watch the humans. The scouts saw something they did not expect. The Deathworlders helped each other with care. They were strong but kind. They worked as a team, not as strangers. The coalition's leaders met again. They talked about the Deathworlders. Some wanted to attack first. Others wanted to talk more. The debate was long. Fear held many back. They stood frozen, unsure what to do. One young alien named Lyra felt a different way. She was a scout who had seen the Deathworlders up close. She saw their courage and kindness. She believed the humans could be friends. She asked the leaders to give the Deathworlders a chance. Lyra went to meet Captain Marcus. She found a man who was not like the stories. He smiled gently and listened well. He spoke of survival, yes, but also of hope and new beginnings. Lyra felt a spark of trust. Still, not all the coalition's people agreed. Some whispered of war and danger. They feared the Deathworlders would bring destruction. The coalition's great city prepared defenses. Walls rose and soldiers stood ready. But the Deathworlders did not make a move to fight. They waited quietly. They sent messages of peace. Captain Marcus asked to meet the coalition's leaders face to face. He wanted to build trust. The day came when the two sides met on a neutral space station. The air was tense. Many eyes watched. The coalition's leaders wore serious faces. The Deathworlders stood tall and calm. Captain Marcus spoke first. He told stories of his home planet. He spoke of storms that could tear cities apart. He spoke of nights so dark no one could see their hand. He spoke of how humans learned to be strong and brave. But he also spoke of dreams. dreams of peace and friendship. The coalition's leaders listened. Some softened, others still stayed cautious. But no one could deny the humans' strength. They saw a new kind of power, one born not just from force, but from courage and heart. When the meeting ended, no one was sure what would happen next. The coalition's people still felt fear. But something had changed. The frozen fear began to melt just a little. As the Deathworlders left the station, Captain Marcus looked back. He knew the road ahead would be hard, but he also knew humans never stopped moving forward. The next step was the hardest, but it was the one that mattered most. In the quiet darkness of space, a new chapter was beginning. The coalition stood on the edge of change. They stood frozen until the Deathworlders took a step forward. The space station where the coalition leaders and Deathworlders had met still hummed quietly as ships came and went. After the first meeting, the air was thick with questions. No one knew what to expect next. Some aliens hoped for friendship. Others feared a hidden danger. The Deathworlders stayed calm, waiting patiently. Captain Marcus knew the coalition's fear was real. He had heard stories from the stars about how the aliens looked at his people with suspicion. But he also believed that courage and honesty could break down walls built by fear. The coalition decided to send a small team of diplomats to visit the Deathworlders' ship. These diplomats were chosen carefully. They were wise and calm, but also cautious. Among them was Lyra, the young scout who had first trusted the Deathworlders. She hoped to learn more about these strange humans. When the diplomats arrived on the Deathworlders' ship, they were surprised by what they saw. The ship was rough and strong. It looked like it had faced many dangers. Inside, the air smelled clean, but it was filled with the sound of quiet voices and steady steps. The humans greeted the diplomats with respect. Captain Marcus and his crew showed no anger or pride, only a calm welcome. The aliens noticed the humans' simple lives on the ship. They had no luxury, but they had what was important: trust and teamwork. Lyra walked with Captain Marcus through the ship. He told her stories about the Death World. Storms that could break ships, wild animals that hunted without mercy, and nights so cold and dark that only the strongest survived. The humans had learned to live with these dangers, to face them head on. "The Death World is not kind," Marcus said softly, "but it made us who we are. We do not fear the unknown because we have faced the worst." Lyra listened carefully. She could see the truth in his eyes. These humans were not just strong in body, they were strong in spirit. They did not give up. They helped each other. They were brave. The diplomats spent many hours on the ship. They asked questions about human life, their hopes, and their dreams. Captain Marcus spoke honestly. He said humans wanted peace, but they were ready to fight if needed. They wanted to share knowledge, not secrets. Back in the coalition's meeting hall, the diplomats reported what they had learned. Lyra spoke passionately about the humans' courage and kindness. "They are different," she said, "not just fighters, but helpers. We should give them a chance." Some leaders agreed. They saw hope in the Deathworlders' words, but others still feared. They worried the humans would bring war and chaos. "Their strength is dangerous," one leader said. "We cannot trust them so quickly." Meanwhile, the Deathworlders continued to wait quietly near the coalition's borders. They sent messages offering friendship and help. They asked to join in sharing knowledge and protecting space from danger. One day, a new event changed everything. A small ship from the coalition was attacked by unknown forces while patrolling near the border. The ship was badly damaged, and the crew called for help. Without hesitation, the Deathworlders sent their own ships to assist. Their pilots were fast and skilled. They reached the damaged ship quickly and helped the crew. The aliens watched in surprise as the humans saved their people without asking for reward. This act of kindness moved many in the coalition. It was the first real proof that the Deathworlders wanted peace. Slowly, the frozen fear began to thaw. Lyra met again with Captain Marcus to discuss what had happened. "You saved them," she said quietly. "Why?" Marcus smiled. "Because it is right. We survive together or we fail alone. We want to be part of something bigger." Days turned into weeks. The Coalition's leaders agreed to meet the Deathworlders. Again, this time on their ship. They wanted to learn more and build trust. The meeting was important. The Coalition's leaders saw how the humans worked as a team. They saw the way the Deathworlders respected their own and the aliens. The humans talked about their past struggles and their hopes for a better future. One alien leader asked, "How can you be so strong and still want peace?" Captain Marcus replied, "Strength is not only about fighting, it is about standing up when others fall. It is about protecting those who cannot protect themselves. We want peace, but we will not be weak." The words touched many hearts. The Coalition began to understand the humans in a new way. The Deathworlders were not just fighters, they were survivors who wanted to help, but not everyone was convinced. Some members of the Coalition still whispered about war. They watched the Deathworlders carefully, waiting for a sign of weakness or betrayal. Captain Marcus knew the road ahead would be difficult. Trust must be earned, and he was ready to prove that humans could be true allies. As the meeting ended, the Deathworlders prepared to stay in Coalition space longer. They offered to help train the Coalition's forces. They wanted to share their knowledge of survival and courage. The Coalition's leaders looked at each other. The moment was full of hope and fear. Could these Deathworlders change the future? Lyra smiled quietly. She believed they could. The frozen fear was breaking. The Deathworlders had taken a step forward, and now the Coalition was beginning to move with them. The Coalition had lived for many years in peace, but deep in space, danger was moving closer. Strange signals warned of a powerful enemy that wanted to take control of the Coalition's worlds. This enemy was unknown, but strong, and it brought fear that spread like wildfire. The Coalition leaders gathered once more in their great city. They spoke in serious tones, worried about how to defend their people. Some wanted to prepare for war. Others hoped to find peace without fighting. But the fear made many freeze, unable to act quickly. The Deathworlders watched quietly. They understood danger well. On their home planet, they had faced storms, wild beasts, and enemies. They knew that waiting could mean losing everything. Captain Marcus spoke to the Coalition leaders. "We have lived with danger all our lives," he said. Do not freeze, we act. If you want help, we will stand with you." Many leaders were surprised by the humans' courage. Some still doubted. "Your world is harsh," one leader said, "but your ways are not ours." Captain Marcus smiled calmly. "Our strength is not just in our bodies. It is in our will to survive and protect. We want to teach you how to be ready." The Coalition was divided. Fear held many back. The Deathworlders' offer was a chance to learn and grow stronger. But it also meant change and risk. After long talks, the leaders agreed to let the humans train their forces. The training began on a distant planet, a place with open fields and rough mountains. The Deathworlders brought simple but strong tools and weapons. They showed the Coalition soldiers how to move fast, think clearly, and work as one. The humans shared stories of survival. They taught the aliens how to stay calm in fear and how to find strength in teamwork. The soldiers practiced day and night. They pushed themselves beyond limits they never knew they had. Lyra was there, watching and learning. She felt the fear in the beginning, but she also saw hope growing. The Deathworlders' training was hard, but it made the Coalition's forces stronger and more confident. During one exercise, a group of alien soldiers struggled to keep up. Captain Marcus stepped forward. He encouraged them with kind words and showed them how to face challenges without giving up. "Fear is natural," Marcus said, "but courage is what moves us forward. When we stand together, no enemy is too strong." Slowly, the coalition soldiers changed. They learned not only to fight, but to trust each other. They began to believe in their own strength. The frozen fear was melting. While the training continued, strange signs appeared in the sky. Scouts reported enemy ships approaching. The coalition's people watched anxiously. They wondered if the danger was close. Captain Marcus met with the coalition. "Leaders again, the enemy is real," he warned. "We must be ready now." The leaders nodded. They had seen their people change. The Deathworlders had given them hope. They began to plan for defense using the lessons learned. But not all was easy. Some in the coalition still feared the Deathworlders. They worried that relying on humans could bring trouble. They whispered doubts and warned to be careful. Captain Marcus understood. Trust was built slowly, and fear took time to fade. He focused on the task ahead, helping the coalition survive. One night, as stars shone brightly, Captain Marcus and Lyra stood together, looking at the horizon. "This is only the beginning," Marcus said. "The true test is coming." Lyra nodded. She had seen the power of courage and unity. She believed the Deathworlders could help the coalition face the coming storm. The next morning, the coalition's forces gathered. They stood taller and stronger. The frozen fear was gone. They were ready to fight if needed, with the Deathworlders at their side. The challenge was clear. Danger was near, but together they would stand firm. The dark silence of space was broken by alarms. The enemy had arrived. A fleet of strange ships appeared at the edge of the coalition's space. They moved quickly and without mercy. The coalition's people felt fear again, but this time it was mixed with hope and courage. The coalition's leaders called a great meeting. Captain Marcus and the Deathworlders stood with them, ready to fight. The soldiers were ready too. They had trained hard. They had learned to trust and work as one. The first battle began near a small, rocky planet. The enemy attacked fiercely, their ships firing powerful weapons. The coalition's ships fought back with new tactics learned from the Deathworlders. The humans' experience in harsh conditions helped them think fast and stay calm. Captain Marcus led a squadron of fighters. He moved through space like a shadow, striking with speed and precision. His pilots were fearless. They knew the stakes were high. Every move mattered. Lyra watched from a command station. She saw the coalition's forces no longer frozen by fear. They fought with strength and heart. The Deathworlders inspired them to keep going, even when the battle was hard. The enemy tried to break the coalition's lines, but the united forces held strong. The Deathworlders shared new ways to defend and attack. They showed how to use the environment to hide and surprise the enemy. On the ground, soldiers faced their own fight. Enemy forces landed on coalition planets, hoping to take control. The coalition soldiers, trained by the Deathworlders, fought bravely. They worked together like a single body. Captain Marcus joined them. He fought side by side with the aliens, showing no fear. His presence gave hope. The soldiers learned to trust not only their weapons, but each other. The battle was long and hard. Sometimes the coalition forces had to fall back, but they never gave up. The Deathworlders reminded them, a step backward is not defeat. It is a chance to learn and grow stronger. At one point, an enemy ship trapped a group of coalition fighters. The situation looked hopeless. But Captain Marcus flew his ship into the danger. He broke the enemy's hold and led the fighters to safety. This act of courage lifted everyone's spirits. Lyra felt proud of her people. She also felt proud of the Deathworlders. They had come as strangers, but now were heroes. The frozen fear that once held the coalition was gone. In its place was fire, a will to fight and protect. After days of battle, the enemy fleet began to retreat. The coalition had won this fight, but everyone knew the war was not over. The Deathworlders stayed close, ready to help. The coalition's leaders gathered again. They praised the Deathworlders and their own people. They spoke of a future where strength and courage would keep their worlds safe. Captain Marcus looked at the stars. He knew the battle was only the beginning. More challenges were coming. But the coalition was no longer frozen. They were moving forward, step by step, fight by fight. The battle had changed the coalition forever. The frozen fear that once gripped their hearts was gone. Instead, a new feeling grew: hope and courage. The Deathworlders had shown the coalition how to stand tall and fight with strength. But more than that, how to believe in themselves. The enemy had not given up. They returned stronger with new ships and weapons. They wanted to crush the coalition completely. The threat was greater now, but the coalition was ready. Captain Marcus and his team worked closely with the coalition's leaders. They planned new strategies, using every lesson learned from past battles. The Deathworlders taught the aliens to think like survivors, to be quick and smart. One day, scouts found the enemy's main base hidden on a distant moon. It was the heart of the enemy's power. The coalition decided to strike there. It was a risky mission, but the chance to end the war was too important to ignore. The coalition's forces prepared carefully. Soldiers trained harder than ever. The Deathworlders shared their special skills: how to move quietly, how to use the land to hide, and how to work as one. Captain Marcus led the strike team. He knew the mission would be dangerous. The enemy was strong, but he believed in his people and in the coalition's courage. The day of the attack arrived. Ships flew silently toward the enemy base. The coalition's soldiers landed on the moon, moving through dark forests and rocky hills. The Deathworlders guided them, teaching them to stay calm and watchful. Suddenly, enemy guards appeared. A fierce fight began. The coalition's forces used everything they had learned. They worked together, protecting each other and pushing forward. Captain Marcus moved through the fight with skill and bravery. He helped his team, never leaving anyone behind. The soldiers followed his lead, their confidence growing with every step. The battle was hard, but the coalition's forces reached the enemy base. They fought their way inside, facing the enemy's leaders. The Deathworlders' courage inspired the coalition soldiers to fight without fear. In the final moments, the enemy tried to escape. Captain Marcus and his team stopped them. The enemy's power was broken. The war was turning in favor of the coalition. After the mission, the coalition's people celebrated. They knew the fight was not over, but hope was alive. The Deathworlders had changed the way they saw themselves and their future. Lyra stood among the crowd, proud and happy. She had watched the coalition grow from frozen fear to strong unity. The humans had taught them that courage was not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. Captain Marcus spoke to the coalition's leaders and people. "This victory is ours together," he said. "We are stronger when we stand as one. The future is ours to build." The coalition's worlds began to heal and prepare for whatever might come next. The frozen days were behind them. The Deathworlders had taken a step forward, and now the coalition was ready to walk with them. The battle had ended. The enemy's power was broken. The coalition's worlds were safe once more. But the victory was more than just a win in war. It was a new beginning. The Deathworlders and the coalition's people stood together no longer strangers or enemies, but friends and allies. The frozen fear that had once held the coalition was gone. In its place was hope, courage, and a shared promise for the future. Captain Marcus looked at the skies above the coalition's great city. He saw stars shining brightly, full of possibility. The journey had been long and hard, but they had come far. He smiled quietly, proud of what had been achieved. The leaders of the coalition held a great celebration. They honored the bravery of their own people and the strength of the Deathworlders. Speeches were made, and promises given to protect the peace they had fought so hard to keep. Lyra stood among the crowd, her heart full. She remembered when she first met the Deathworlders, when fear had frozen her world. Now she saw the faces of people ready to step forward to build a future together. The Deathworlders shared their knowledge and skills freely. They helped rebuild damaged worlds and trained new generations of soldiers and leaders. Their stories of survival and courage became lessons for all. Captain Marcus spoke to the young and old alike. The strength we need is not just in weapons or ships. It is in our hearts. It is in our will to protect each other and to never give up. The Coalition's people listened and learned. They no longer saw the Deathworlders as strange or frightening. Instead, they saw them as friends who had helped them find courage and hope. As peace returned, the Coalition began to explore the stars together. They sent ships to new worlds, seeking knowledge and friendship. The Deathworlders were there, guiding and supporting, ready for whatever challenges might come. Lyra walked beside Captain Marcus one evening, looking up at the stars. "What comes next?" she asked. Marcus smiled. "Whatever it is, we face it together. We have learned that no matter how dark the night, the dawn will come if we take the first step." The story of the Coalition and the Deathworlders became a legend. It was a story of fear overcome by courage, of strangers becoming allies, and of a new dawn born from the steps taken forward. And so, in the vastness of space, they stood no longer frozen. They moved forward, stronger, united, and ready for the future.